veteran, family of a veteran, or the community at large. Everybody, somebody who knows a veteran. So
And
we're
I
Right.
trying
think
to
So
what's really
experience.
important is that we integrate the idea of
right.
veterans into the community.
No,
Are
we
you
got that.
trying to go to a break?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
was, yeah, you read mine. That's a professional colleague right there going on. Yeah,
Okay.
hold that thought. We're gonna go to a break real quick, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
I asked what kind of family she wanted. She said, a family like yours.
Learn more about adopting a teen at adoptuskids.org. You can't imagine the reward. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Mario fue pintor más de 30 años. Un día me dijeron que pintara el marco por dentro y pinté el lado de afuera.
Si algo se nota diferente, podría ser Alzheimer. Es momento de hablar.
Come back to
Un mensaje de the Alzheimer Association y the Ad Council.
And we're back to TBJ Radio. This is the beginning. This is Listen to a Vet. We're coming to you live on the Bronx Journal Radio via the Lehman Earthways, and you can see us live, get a live feed on Facebook Live. Go to the Lehman Concourse page on Facebook Live. So, Mr. Best, you mentioned it, and Susan, you started to follow up on it. You offer, WBN offers digital outlets for veterans. Speak to that. Speak to some of those creatives. We're at a liberal arts school, so I know you've incorporated some of the veterans that go here as part of your
Many.
creative process, right? So
In fact, I had a young lady who
speak to that.
was, excuse me, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
I had a young lady who
I'm
was
only the
in my
host.
acting class who I had no idea she was a veteran. She came to see, after maybe a couple of years, she came to see a piece that I was working on downtown. And we got to chatting, and she said she had written a short film. And when I read the film, the first time I read it, and for this rarely happens when I read a script the first time, I actually started crying because
Wow.
the thought, the film was about, it was entitled Rapid Deployment. And it was about a young woman who had enlisted and then um, had a baby and was separated from the baby at like 3 months old or
Can
4
they
months
see the
old.
film on her?
And they can see the film. You can see the short film on our website, which is www.webelongnetwork.org. And the feature narrative, the full narrative, should be done hopefully by the end of this summer. But it occurred to me again, kind of like the Vietnam story, that there's a lot we really don't know about the experience that many people in active military go through, especially the women. I know we're very male orientated because it is the service, but there's a lot of issues that women deal with, particularly when they are in active military. But that film kind of launched uh, our major multimedia efforts. We have some short, like Vine type things that just talk about, 30 seconds of what it's like to come home. What's the first thing that you experienced? You did one of those, didn't you, Mark? You did some.
Yeah, we did the interviews. When
Yeah,
we did,
right.
talked about how it was transitioning and coming out of the military and the experience of being in the military, especially when we had people from different eras, like myself, Mr. Best, who in Vietnam, Bill. So and then
Korea.
yeah.
Right.
So every having a perspective from different veterans from different eras of you see the things that separate us, but you also see the through line that kind of connects each of our experiences, and even being in different branches, it was a really good experience.
That's because we aspire to be the information source that bridges the gap between mainstream society and its veterans. Our intent is to be a resource to help veterans navigate through the multiple opportunities available to build careers, achieve home ownership, and healthcare services. We are a source of entertainment for veterans to enjoy, to be inspired by, and to participate, and as a career opportunity to learn the full scope of multimedia production.
And that is, having an outlet for not only those stories, but we have some veterans now that are working with us beyond Lehman College who have stories that don't even involve veterans, but they're from their perspective. You know, they're seeing the world from their perspective and the things that are interesting to them and things that possibly will be interesting to other people.
Yeah.
And we
And
really hope that it will not only raise the profile, because, like, for instance, where I live upstate, veterans are very highly respected.
yeah,
But
that's unusual
when you
in New
walk
York.
across the street in Manhattan or the Bronx, it's almost, unless you see another veteran, it's almost like you're invisible. And I think that's something that we also have as a goal, is to feel that way about veterans all around the country
But
in every nook and cranny.
But that's part of the culture. But that's part of the culture of New York City because I mean, I was, and I'm sure Mark can attest to this. I've been stationed all over the country. I mean, Boston is extremely patriotic. You know, I mean, you can't if you walk the streets in Boston in uniform, I mean, half the time you're not paying for lunch. Texas, so I mean, it's I hate to say it, bring politics in it, but it's kind of the liberal states. It's the liberal states. That have
New
issues
York
with that.
is a liberal state,
Well,
but
that's
not
what
New York City.
know what I'm saying, but it has, yeah, but no, New York City is liberal. New York State necessarily isn't, but that's neither here nor there. But like, so yeah, I never have a problem in uniform in Texas. I never have a problem in uniform in Florida. I never have the red states. I hate to say that, but it is what it is. But New York City, I don't know. I have no clue why it's like
I
that.
think it's just a culture in New York City.
Yeah, it just
being
is.
in California
Right.
and being in Washington, both pretty blue. I never had an issue. I was people respect you. They,
Yeah.
they'll ask you
California,
if you're a veteran for your discount before you have to bring it up.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it's just the culture of New York City.
I agree.
It's probably what it is because like I said, I've been to a lot of places around,
No.
and they're not as, for lack of a better term, rude to veterans as they are in New York City.
Susan, you brought up. You said there's a certain ignorance that the general populace has about what goes on because again, my interaction, if you remove New York City from the equation, is that the population is very supportive of vets and a real appreciative of the things we do and the sacrifices we make. And then
But I think you have to look at it historically too. I mean, Mr. Best and I are of the same generation. We have very different experiences. I went to school about 50 miles south of Kent State. So the attitude about the draft and military service was very impacted by the politics of that particular state at that particular time. And to tell you the truth,
but wouldn't you say
it
that
didn't
was an era?
change.
But,
It didn't change until I became involved with We Belong Network, particularly.
but wouldn't you think that was a product of society as a whole? I mean, the counterculture of the '60s, because before
But
Vietnam,
what happened? Why didn't it change? Why didn't we have more information about experiences that our veterans went through in Vietnam
That's
between
just
now and 2000?
but that was
between,
just a disconnect.
you know,
That's simply a disconnect because again,
an intentional
joined,
one or
I
a
don't
real
know.
one?
I think
Wait a minute
somebody
now.
dropped.
Let's hear from the
That's
Vietnam
the reason
vet.
why WBN was actually
Exactly.
created. Because I recall times that made it very difficult for me to assimilate back into the mainstream of society. I came out with post-traumatic stress disorder, which all vets, I would say, have in some form or another. Whether being diagnosed yet is two different things. But I realized that while there are a multitude of services for Vietnam or for all veterans, it was an overwhelming task to navigate through it all. So I created WBN to be the digital platform that streamlines the process of finding veteran services by providing the right information and the right resources at the right time of your life. So through this connection with Susan, it was, we've created an entity in the WBN that commits to training veterans, their families, or their friends in digital multimedia production. making WBN a place for information, resources, and entertainment for all veterans and their families and friends.
Yeah, we're listen to a vet on the Bronx Journal Radio, and we are streaming live on Facebook at Lehman Concourse. Okay, and we're talking with Susan Watson Turner. She's a professor here at Lehman College, and she's also the co-founder and program director of WBN. And we're also with Mark Robinson, veteran, thespian, who is also on the board of WBN. He's the assistant program director. Is that okay? That's what's up. All right. So, and of course, Mr. Best, CEO of WBN. I'm your host, Wayne Townsend. This is Listen to a Vet. We'll be back right after these messages.
I can't believe he found them.
He seems sorry.
We very clearly told him not to look up there.
I'm honestly impressed that he was able to do it.
Right? What did he balance on that big chair?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he'll just know what his gifts are this year.
I really thought we had hidden them well.
If they can find their presents, they can find a gun.
911, what is your emergency?
Every day, 8 kids and teens are unintentionally killed or injured by loaded and unlocked guns. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and End Family Fire.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket, you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
And we are back to Listen to a Vet, 13th floor, Listen to a Vet over Bronx Journal Radio, Lehman Airwaves. And we are streaming live on Facebook, Lehman Concourse. And so, are we going to open the floor up to questions? Please send your questions to Lehman Concourse or direct it to the website. And we'd like to get some of these questions on the air. I did have a listener who sent me a question. She wants to know more about the history of the draft. Okay, I mean, I don't know that we can speak to that. Just what we know. I mean, I know the draft goes back to the Civil War, but anybody want to take that question?
Since I'm the only person here that was drafted, I can only speak on my personal experiences with the draft. The draft actually, for the Vietnam War, was brought on by, who was it? Not Kennedy, before him?
Truman?
No.
LBJ?
LBJ, no. Kennedy. Let's go with Kennedy because it was in 1959.
But that's Truman.
Okay, that's what I thought. 1959. Okay, actually 54. They really started. They sent troops to Vietnam.
Eisenhower,
it got really bad.
Eisenhower.
And right, it got really bad in 1959. By that time, America needed soldiers to send, and it wasn't a volunteer army then. It was they proposed a draft at that time. So from 1959 to 72.
5.
No, that was the era of the Vietnam War.
That's
talking
when
about
the
draft.
They got rid of the draft in 75.
Oh, in 75, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It says
Okay.
73 here.
That's right, 73.
Okay.
That's where it
Apologies.
is, 73. So if you fell in within that time span, if your birthday was anywhere within that time span, were you eligible to be drafted? So the United States issued out, called all 18-year-olds and higher to register for the selective service, they called it.
Yep.
And when you signed up, the government had a record of who you are, where you were, and they contacted you through mail. They sent you a token. Matter of fact, 2 tokens. You never used the other one to come back. So let me just say that. Okay. Once you were called in.
When you say tokens, you mean subway tokens to get on
Believe it or
subway.
not,
Yes.
everybody there was tokens before there were Metro cards.
Yes.
So that's how old we are. Oh, I am anyway.
No, I remember tokens.
Yeah. But then you go down to Whitehall Street, and that's called the Induction Center. That's where you take your pledge to say that you will fight for God and country.
No,
But even now
I get
today,
it.
do you still take the pledge and all that stuff, but you just are not. It's not a forced entry.
No.
No, they got rid of and the draft goes as early than that because World War II guys were drafted, and it's a lottery system. It's like a lottery system. They put these numbers in the ball. The ball comes up, and then that's when everyone on this birth date, April whatever, and then you get the call. I mean, it was something similar to that. I can't speak to it any definitive, but I mean that's the gist
Well,
of
we
it.
have a gentleman, Mr. Glover, who was working with us on the administrative side of WBN, and he explained that he had a little fluke with his educational thing. He had an educational deferment from the draft, but he wasn't able to register one semester, and he still got yanked up without, much.
Right. So
notice.
there were a lot of holes in the draft.
Yeah,
to
a
tell you the
lot.
truth.
Yeah.
But now we have a question from Facebook.
Sure.
Via Facebook from Yves Dos, who happens to be our what part do Yves play in this?
He's our executive producer for this show. Are you talking about?
Yes, he is.
And he's
Yes, he
also
is.
our.
But his question,
production
He's the general manager. He's the general. Eves is the general manager of the Bronx Journal Radio. He runs everything. Everything goes through Eves. So feel
his
better, brother. Feel better.
Yeah, his question is, what is changing to make joining the military better than the times? He says, you old timers joined. I resent that, Eve, but okay. The times when I joined are totally different than when Mark and Wayne joined. And though they could speak on perhaps when they joined, how was it better? Because I only had the worst end of the deal. You guys got the better end.
When I joined, it was peacetime. So I mean, I didn't. Yeah, you joined peacetime, so it's peacetime too. But granted, the current conflict that we're involved in, I think it just surpassed the length of time of Vietnam.
Which conflict was that you were in, Wayne?
He was
I was Desert Storm. Well, I joined in peacetime, but my first active duty experience with live fire was during Desert Storm, the first one. So it kicked off in August 90. I remember I was because my unit was one of the first reserve units that was called out. So yeah, we were down. We were like, whoa.
What about you, Mark? When was yours?
I also joined in peace, but it was right before the Iraq War, so 2003. I didn't go in the beginning of the Iraq War because I was stationed in sunny Okinawa, Japan, on the beach. And then
that's a tough tour, baby.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
Blue water and the white sand. It was terrible. And then the war started in 2003.
But how did it differ? How did it make?
Well, we I would say we had access to more. They one of the incentives to join, as the recruiters like to, is college and having more access to more to more resources when you come in, but also when you get out. They try to, I emphasis on try, but they to help you prepare more for the transition as opposed to having you just figure it out on your own. Granted, there's some still holes, but at least the training for your MOS, for your military occupation specialty, also sort of gives you more tools for the civilian side than before. Because I remember looking at some of the old training that they, gave people for different MOSs, and it was, and it's like, oh, okay, where they kind of incorporated for certain MOSs whether or not if you to choose to do it or not. More of a transition into the civilian workforce.
Right.
So I think one of
benefits.
Exactly. So I think one of the major things is that they try to, no matter what profession you choose in the military, they try to at least give you the stepping stones to be able to transition into the civilian side, whereas they really didn't do that in your era.
Certainly didn't.
So, but that's like a major thing because a lot of veterans come out unemployable because they don't have the skill sets don't match up. So you get out even if you were infantry and like you're telling me that I guard embassies, but I don't have the tools to guard Walmart, so that's a major one, at least for me, that being able to have those stepping stones to be able to transition into a civilian.
I also think that there's a certain emphasis in corporate America to I don't know if I honestly don't know if their incentives, governmental incentives, if they give them tax breaks or whatever, but the population has become a little bit more educated, especially since Vietnam. Again, that was a tumultuous time in our country, and the whole baby killer thing, and then people just started to realize that it was the government and not the vet itself. So I think
that's an important distinction.
Oh, 100%. Because I think what happens is the population realized the error of their ways, the way they treated the Vietnam vet, and then that changed the direction of how people view vets and their willingness to hire them. Again, that's I don't have any empirical data on that, but it's just
I didn't take kindly to people spitting on me.
I'm sure you didn't.
But I think some of it is also a visibility thing because besides the draft, especially here in New York, most people are really removed from veteran because a lot of those other places that we talk about going to, Texas, Florida, they have bases in the population. They have bases in the major cities. So people see, it wasn't until maybe after 9/11 or Patriot Act, people started seeing uniformed.
I don't want to cut you off. But most of these, I'll let you continue your thought. But you're right. Most of these bases, the entire economic structure is built around servicing the vets. So you're right. So like Virginia, Oh my gosh. I mean, if the base closed, the city would go bankrupt anyway.
Except for New York City.
Well,
I mean, all
because there are no bases here.
Yeah, well, they're all almost in Jersey or
reserve,
deep in
but
Brooklyn.
reserve bases.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
and the second part of it, I would believe, because it's we're in the longest war. That's so more people are being touched by the status of a veteran, whether it be because their friends or family went, because now there's more people coming out and joining the workforce that are veterans. So the visibility of veterans are probably at an all-time high. We have, now they're doing Patriot stuff in football games. And because of the war, because of the recruitment, there's so much, we have bigger recruitment centers now in Times Square and places like that. So I think the attitude of towards veterans changed because just the increase in visibility, because but it also helps because of that presence, now employers and the general population are starting to see, because most times they see veterans as somebody just on the street asking for money, and so now that attitude changes because now they see that there's veterans in our workplace, there's veterans in our education system, there's veterans that's teaching us, there's veterans that's hiring us.
And I think the veterans are taking a higher profile because of that. Because now people are proud to be veterans, and they're proud to pass on their experience.
Well, all veterans are proud to be veterans.
Well, I
mean, say that.
I won't say that's the wrong thing to say. Maybe they're very public about it.
Right, there you go. Because a lot of times we didn't talk about our status as veterans. Particularly Vietnam veterans. When we came out, we don't talk about our experiences in the service, or we don't talk about how we're doing, or how it is to be a veteran at this time, this state and time. So each war produced a different kind of veteran, for lack of a better word, because in my day, if you went to Vietnam, you were probably in the fire zone. You were probably fighting out there somewhere. But with that being said, they did have what they call back services. The people who was in the rear with the gear.
Sure.
Okay, they enjoyed it because they weren't getting shot at every day. So
the combat support. Combat support and combat support services. So.
But what can we do now with WBN? Like, for instance, one of my very close friends. Her son was just deployed with the 82nd
Right.
Airborne.
Okay,
Thanks
hold
to
that
our
thought.
president.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk that.
Okay,
Mark, I
time
want you
for
to think
break.
about that. Mr. Best, we're going to think about that. You guys hold that thought. We are, this is the WBN. Listen to a vet over the TBJ, over the airways of Lehman College. We will return after these messages. Thank you very much.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket, you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling on it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off at school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
And we're back to WBN. Listen to a vet on TBJ Radio. And we are streaming live on Facebook via the Lehman Concourse page on Facebook Live. And we are back today, and we're discussing the creation of WBN and how things got started, some of the services they provide. And we're here with Professor Susan Watson-Turner. She's a professor here at Lehman, and she's a co-founder and program director of WBN, also with her associate, Mark Robinson, who's a vet, and he's also part of the program department at WBN. Of course, the CEO, Mr. Richard Best, and I am your host, Wayne Townsend. So, Susan, you brought up, before we went to the break, you brought up a point that we're going to flesh out, right? So, you want to pick it up?
I just wonder how, we know media is a very powerful tool. We witness it every single day, how it changes attitudes, how it educates us. It's more than entertainment. What can we do at WBN? What kind of work can we do that can assist someone coming out of the military in finding a stronger place? I'm not going to say a better place, because there's certainly many veterans who are doing wonderful things in the world. But how can we find a stronger place where you would maybe even put that as part of your introduction? Hi, my name is Richard Bett. I'm a veteran.
Right. Well, with that being said, that's what WBN is all about. We're not about having competition. We're not worried about competition. But what we want is for everyone else to join. We want to join you or you join us. It doesn't matter which way it goes. So that all of these disjointed efforts, because there are a lot of them out there, are put under one umbrella, the WBN umbrella, that offers the information and the resources for all veterans to get the help or the benefits or the guidance that they need to proceed as far as life is concerned.
Well,
so instead of Googling it, one day you will say WBN it.
Well, what I heard Susan say was, how, okay, that's in the broad terms, but I think specifically, I would like to see if, for me, as coming out of the service, if I could have went to a location, right, and had a advisor, for lack of a better word, and who walked me through the process. Oh, you want to go to school? These are the people you need to contact. This is blah blah blah. We have I have this guy on speed dial, so we get in here and they get started. Oh, you need housing? Blah blah blah. So I think if you had a counselor, right, or conciliage, you know what I'm saying? That'd be,
if they could do that, right?
That'd be great. So so if like if you again, so not just
I get where you're going with
here,
that,
go here, but you come here and then you get in a you get in the car and we're going to take you where we need to do. That would be something along those lines. Because as Mark,
But everybody
alluded
doesn't
to-
need that.
No,
No, I
exactly.
That's the
That's what I'm
thing.
going.
No, I understand
And
that.
so,
First of all,
so
when-
vet services with VA
yeah, right.
will give you a counselor.
New York State
personal
Vet
counselor.
Services, New York City Vet Services. But the thing is this: we provide you with the information for you where to go so that you can go get the help that you need. If you want educational benefits, then we'll send you to Vet Services at Lehman College, and you'll go talk to Louis Saldano. Okay, and he'll direct you how to become a student under the VA
Yeah,
program.
but I think you guys are missing my point. And Mark.
No, we won't direct you there. We won't carry you there, but we'll give you that information so that you could.
But that's the point that Mark and I will make. Sometimes when you get out, I mean, you're lost. So I mean, for you to hand a card or give me a phone number, that's not helping. So the vet that has PTSD, the vet that is suffering from a post-traumatic stress or is under the stress of he's homeless now, he's going to need that shoulder to lean on, that guy to hold his hand. I mean, that's
Now,
what that's
where that happens here is within our work circumstance that you develop a relationship with each other and share resources.
Yes.
But we are not.
We're not a carry-all.
And we're not equipped
Yeah.
to do that. And I don't want to mislead anybody to think that we can help you in that fashion.
Well, first of all, you know what it is? It's up to the vet to get to a point in time in his life to decide what it is he want to do.
Right.
If he wants an education, then he has to come to a realization that his life would be much better with an education.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a job opportunity, he has to come to that point in time in his life where he can say, I want to make more money, or I need a good job, or a decent job even.
Or
We
he
can
may
help
watch
you
a
with
film
that.
where we see the frustration of the woman, the lead in rapid deployment, the frustration of dealing with the system, and how maybe that will say to somebody, well, it's not just me, it's everybody got to put up with this, or not saying that makes it correct, but we are trying to put that out there as when she goes to the counselor, just what you said. The counselor hands her a card and says, go see these people for their services. And she throws it back on the desk. That's not what I need right now.
Right.
They're taking my son from me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So some of it is a fictionalized look at it, but it can also help someone who might be dealing with it thinking that it's just them. They're all alone out there in this experience.
And then you're dealing with that veteran with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, he needs help, and that help is readily available through the VA. Now, you have to take the initiative, first of all, to know that you have something going on.
Well, can we educate the families?
Like the film says.
Can we educate the families? How do we prepare the families for receiving
the families
the
are
vet?
already prepared. They see the vet when he comes home. They know this person before he went in.
They know, but they don't know him
Right.
now.
So when he comes out, he's a totally different person.
Right. So how do we prepare the families to receive the totally different person?
No, they already know, first of all, that this is a different person. Secondly, now what they're seeking is help for that person.
Right. Right.
So they reach out to the VA, or they reach out to an organization like us, and they ask us, who are veterans, what did you do? Or how did you make it over this?
How long did it take you?
Right. So we can give them that information readily. And then we could tell them, the families or their friends, where to go to help this veteran. But it all starts with the veteran. Let's make no mistake about it. The family can't drag him in there, and they can't make him go. They can't make him stop using drugs because he's trying to dull the senses of what he just went through, his traumatic experience in the service. So we saying, listen, if you have a drug addiction or alcoholism, all of that could be treated. PTSD, post-traumatic stress, can be treated. Okay, but it follows you nevertheless, just like any other addiction or any other mental illness. All right, but there is help. But we can show you where to go get the help. We can't take you by the hand and lead you there. You must want to play a part in your own recovery.
Yeah, I think at least part as from a media standpoint, just as Susan was saying before, like showing those stories, not just the romantic part of it. You know, everybody loves to show the victory part of the war, but not show the part of the person who's having a mental breakdown because they found out that their wife is cheating on them and
Or
they're
trying to
beside
shoot
it.
himself in the head.
Yeah, something like and that also goes to educating the family, because if they can see these experiences that that sort of tie us together too. Like everybody has some kind of boot camp story, or we're in the longest war. Somebody has a deployment story, or somebody has a frustration with the VA story, or like these things. In what I was saying before about having veterans more visible in society, someone can see one of these stories and be like, my uncle was going through that, and I didn't know that at the time.
I didn't know what he was going
We
through.
just dismissed him because he likes to drink. But now to see that he's going through this,
Right.
now it
I
makes sense. Now I understand.
Now I understand.
And that's also what I was kind of going to earlier when I was saying a lot of times when they show our stories, they don't show it from like realistic from our point of view. From whereas because they read a book from some colonel somewhere one time and was like, well, I'm gonna make that into a movie and not speak to the people who actually was fighting or had to go through all of the second, third, fourth order effects of going to a war and coming back. So I think that's one of the ways.
No, I get it. And speaking to that, there was a movie that came out a couple years ago. I want to say 2017. It was called "Thank You for Your Service," and my girlfriend at the time dragged me to the movie, and I guess she thought it was gonna help, but it didn't. It
infuriated you.
It did because it was accurate. Because it was accurate in the disconnect because he couldn't get services. So I mean, I'm not going to waste any time telling, but it was a group of 3 guys that came home and then they all experienced dramatized versions of what happened to some. And one guy robbed a bank. One guy, started beating his wife. The other guy, and there was one scene where I wanted to walk out of the movie where he was in the VA online, to get help, and the line was out the door, and it was just one worker who pulled him in. The pile of cases on her desk was stacked, so high, and we all face that because a VA. I mean, if you go to VA, there's 10 desks. There's only one person who's really working. So,
and it's a government.
Agency. Exactly. It should be staffed with vets, but I didn't mean to cut you off. If it was staffed with vets,
and
then it would be a better issue.
And that's the basis of WBN, because we want at the top of the list the needs of the veteran, and through media. I did see that movie that you're talking about. Through a media outlet, be it a podcast, be it on radio, be it a film or PSA or whatever it is. And when I started doing the research for this, I was so shocked that there was not a network, a digitized network, a media network, particularly geared at the vet. Other than Vet TV, that's the only one. And we don't want to get...
It's all good.
But Vet TV is also very skewed to a post 9/11 veteran. And I don't think it has a wide range as we do particularly. But there needs to be more than 2. Yeah. We would, there's an HBO, Showtime, and BET, and Univision and all of that.
They have HBO in Spanish.
And they have HBO
like all
Plus
these
and BET Plus and this and that.
You guys, that's even ambitious because there's YouTube. And YouTube will upload it for free. And just need once you get enough clicks. But
now they're becoming very tight on their, what they will air and not.
I get that.
But we're on YouTube and we're www.webelongnetwork.org. Go on, check us out.
One more time, Susan.
www.webelongnetwork.org. We're streaming live there several videos that we've done, and we have a lot of very exciting projects coming up. We just came back from Berlin, where we met some expats over there and veterans and did some work with them.
That's my dream, expat.
We're really looking to make this an outlet, a creative outlet for veterans.
All right, hold that thought. So again, this is we We Belong Network. Listen to a Vet, coming to you live over the TBJ airwaves at Lehman College, and streaming to you live on Facebook at Lehman Concourse. We'll be back right after this.
Hi, I'm Amine. Sometimes starting a conversation with a friend about mental health can feel awkward, but your support can make a huge difference. You know your friends best, so if you feel like something's wrong, trust your instinct and reach out. Learn how to start the conversation at seizetheawkward.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and the JED Foundation.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived in Philadelphia. Local time is 3:05 p.m. and the temperature is 67 degrees. At this time, you are now free to use your cellular devices.
You know that feeling when you get to turn your phone on after the plane lands? You can have that feeling every time you drive. Make sure your cell phone is stowed away whenever you are behind the wheel.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
And we're back to We Belong, Listen to a Vet. And with the short time that we have left, we're going to talk about some of the projects that you have coming up and how some veterans that have share some of their creative juices, so to speak, with you guys. So speak to that a little bit.
Mark, tell us a little bit about the project you're working on.
Oh, wow. Okay. I was so I'm
quickly.
Just quickly. Yeah, I'm writing a series about it's sort of like it's mostly from a person of color's perspective. It's about a person who has a unique ability and he uses that to find missing black girls, because that's one of the issues that have been
Sex trafficking is huge. It's an underreported crime in this country.
And he uses his military background that helps solve these crimes. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant piece. And we will be also doing something called Black Broadway that's been written about the history of Black Broadway by a veteran who has put together a wonderful cast, Leslie Dockery and so many other, Keith David, and many of the Broadway stalwarts are coming under this umbrella to give us the history of Black Broadway, but written from his perspective. He's a historian and a veteran. And From the 13th Floor is really about uncovering all the things that are available to veterans that can help you make a better transition if you're in active military service, or if you're a veteran and you haven't kind of conquered everything that you're carrying around inside. We would like to be an assistance to you. WBN is a way that we can link you maybe to another organization here in the Bronx. Listen to us. Come on Wednesdays, 3 to 4, from the 13th floor. Listen to a vet and get the information you need, or ask the questions. And if we don't have the answers, we'll certainly try to dig them up. And Mr. Best has been a great resource in the community. He's been making some wonderful contacts here in the Bronx, Manhattan, actually nationwide, with people who want to help. So you want to...
The veteran issue is very important to us at WBN. I am a vet, and this organization was born by vets, for vets, and their families and friends. So if you are a veteran and you have problems, some kind of problems, and you need some kinds of help, you can reach out to us and we surely will steer you to the right direction. If you are a vet's family member or a friend of a veteran, and you see a veteran suffering and you would like to help him, contact us or her, contact us, and we'll be more than happy to steer you in the right direction, to provide you with the information that you need to contact the right person that will help that veteran. But first and foremost, the veteran must be a part of his own progress, if you will. He must be accepting of changing his life. He must want to change his life. He must want to do better. And if he has that in his heart and in his mind, that's what WBN is, because I was there. I was right where he is right now. So all of the homeless veterans, all of the addicted veterans, all the mentally ill veterans, I was there. Okay? So I found out that there is help, there is a better way, and I own WBN today. So be a part of
And if
your
you
own
have a
recovery.
creative story about your journey, we're interested in taking a look at it and really sharing your experiences with other families and friends and veterans to help the situation to really bring a light on that situation. And maybe it's a funny story.
Yeah, maybe we can stop one veteran from committing suicide.
Right.
There are 22 veterans a day that commit suicide. If we could just stop one of them by offering information or entertainment or even resources to make him change his mind, to make him not do it today, we've accomplished our task.
So thank you, Wayne, for having us today on Listen to a Vet.
Listen, I mean, thank you for coming, because I mean, you gave the listeners more in-depth knowledge of what the WBN is about, and I hope that listeners here will reach out and support the company and go to the website. And I'm sure the more hits, the better.
Website one more time.
100. Go for
It's
it.
www.webelongnetwork.org. And we have the Facebook page.
Yes,
under
like
We
our
Belong
page.
Network. Like our page.
Like our Twitter.
That's right. And come to our events. We're here at Lehman College, but we're going to be doing events all around New
We're
York.
going to be doing great things from here out. And we'd love for you to be a part of it one way or the other. Either come be a part of WBN or just be a part of whatever we put up.
And that's
Thanks
all.
again.
And that's all we have the time for. I want to thank our guests, Susan Watson Turner, Mark Robinson, and of course my co-host, Mr. Best. I'm Wayne Townsend. This is the 13th floor. Listen to a Vet. Catch you guys next time. And we are out.